Now, the US President Barack Obama has outlined his plans to reduce debt and to try to kickstart the economy.
He's proposing higher taxes for the wealthy and cuts to healthcare benefits. For more, our North America correspondent Craig McMurtrie joins us now from Washington. Craig, good morning. The President seems determined to take Congress on over his budget plan.
Yes, good morning, Michael. It seems a real change in tone, really, from Barack Obama these past few weeks. He seems far more combative, far less the professorial president that we saw perhaps a few months ago, particularly dealing with the debt ceiling crisis. Today in the Rose Garden, he came out and laid out what he called his $4 trillion deficit reduction plan. He's counting savings from drawing down the war effort in Afghanistan and Iraq. He is cutting or proposing some modest cuts in Medicare and other entitlement spending. But the big piece of this is $1.5 trillion in new revenue that he wants, and he's talking about raising taxes on the wealthy. He's invoking what the White House is calling the Buffett rule. This refers to the Omaha billionaire Warren Buffett, who said recently that he felt that he ought to be paying more taxes, that he was effectively paying less tax than his secretary. Now, Barack Obama has jumped on this, saying that as a minimum, they want to make sure that millionaires are paying the same percentage of their income in tax as middle-income Americans. He also wants to close the Bush-era tax cuts, or at least allow them to expire. He wants to close corporate tax loopholes as well. Now, for Republicans, this is an absolute no-no, so the two sides seem once again set on a collision course. They've already come out dismissing it, saying it isn't a serious contribution, and they've called it class warfare. Barack Obama was ready for that. He had an answer on the class warfare accusation. Have a listen.
This is not class warfare. It's math. The money's going to have to come from someplace. And if we're not willing to ask those who've done extraordinarily well to help America close the deficit, and we are trying to reach that same target of $4 trillion, then the logic, the math says everybody else has to do a whole lot more.
Obama there, and Craig, there is a concerted White House campaign in favour of that campaign to raise taxes on the rich. The President got vocal support from his Treasury Secretary as well.
Absolutely. Over the weekend, reporters were briefed. Some of the best lines were being fed to the newspapers over the weekend. Immediately after the Rose Garden appearance by the President, senior members of his economic team were in the White House briefing room. They were led by Tim Geithner, the Treasury Secretary, as you say, essentially lending their weight to this, making sure that reporters understood that the economic team in the White House felt it was a serious effort, and as Tim Geithner said, it would return the deficit to a sustainable level. Here's some of what he had to say.
Our proposal is, through comprehensive tax reform, individual and corporate, to make the current tax system of the United States better for investment, better for growth, and more fair to average Americans. And if Congress were to meet those basic principles he laid out, then I'm very confident that the modest changes we're suggesting in terms of revenues would make the economy stronger in the long term, not weaker in the long term.
Tim Geithner there, and just before we go, Craig, the White House spin doctors have been busy on another front overnight, and that's battling back against an unflattering new portrait of President Obama.
Yes, it's by Pulitzer Prize winner Ron Suskind, a journalist and author. The book is called Confidence Men. I think it gets released either today or tomorrow here in North America. It's a behind-the-scenes look at the Obama White House, and it really portrays or paints a picture of fierce infighting in the White House. It quotes, for example, former Chief Economic Advisor Larry Summers saying, "We're home alone. There's no adult in charge. Clinton would never have made these mistakes." Now, a lot of this, of course, is coming at the time that the White House is dealing with the financial crisis, but there are other quotes that have leaked ahead of time, with one political advisor complaining that the economic team tried to relitigate policy even after the President had made the decision about what he wanted to happen, and accusing the Treasury Secretary, Tim Geithner, of implementing the President's policy in a slow and uneven way. So in that press conference you just saw, Timothy Geithner was asked directly to talk to that, and he denied it. He said, "The reality I lived, we all lived together, bears no relation to what he called the sad little stories reported from that book." And White House advisors have come out increasingly in the last few days saying that they have been misquoted, that the book is full of distortions. But anything really that goes right now to the strength, or questioning the strength of the President's leadership and the unity of his economic team is, of course, very, very unhelpful for the White House.
And very bad timing indeed. Craig McMurtrie in Washington, thank you.